What's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Hope you all have had a great Saturday. Hope you all are having a great evening so far. This is the evening update on what's going on with the tropics. Some things have switched up a little bit, and we're going to break down what's going on. We're going to do this video a little bit different. As y'all know, if y'all been watching the videos, there's two systems out there right now. What is called the remnants of Fred now, because it's actually downgraded from a depression to pretty much just a tropical wave. And then we have Tropical Storm Grace right now, which we're going to talk about both. But instead of going back and forth in this video, we're going to talk about Fred first, and then we're going to talk about Grace. So stick around the whole video if you want to know about both storms. We're really going to break down Fred a good bit tonight because Fred looks to still be an impactful storm. People have kind of forgot about Fred, but Fred is still forecasted to develop into a tropical storm and affect areas of Florida and Alabama and interior areas off the coastal areas of those states and areas like that. So with heavy rain and potentially tropical storm force winds, and there's an outside chance that Fred could become a hurricane, a very, very outside chance. We're going to talk about that. If you guys have not subscribed, definitely hit the subscribe button. Follow along here. I throw out updates every single day. I try to keep y'all updated. Thank y'all for the support. I just can't thank y'all enough. I know I'm repetitive with that, but I've always been big on trying to show my appreciation. And y'all, like I said 100 times, y'all give me an outlet to express what I love, my passion, which is the weather. So thank y'all. Thank y'all for the incredible support. Like the video if you like it. It helps the video get out there. So thank y'all. Anything I can pray about, put it in the prayers, and I'll definitely pray for you guys. And other people will also in the comments for sure. So also, before we get going, if you guys have not followed me on YouTube, definitely hit the link right here. It's on my channel page. Give me a follow on YouTube. Obviously, I can't make videos every single hour, so I post frequent updates on there. If you're not big on Twitter, totally understand it's not for everybody, but definitely hit me up on Twitter if you haven't already. But here we go. We have the remnants of Fred. It's looked like this for about 24 to 36 hours. You know, I've been joking around because it seems like Fred's just been on vacation in Cuba for the last 2 or 3 days. But finally, whatever low-level circulation there is, if you will, or whatever the low pressure of this, is finally north of western Cuba, and it's about to start getting into the eastern Gulf of Mexico. And I'm very curious to see if this thing can get going overnight, and by the time everybody wakes up in the morning, this looks like a totally different system. Maybe not totally, but it begins to get its act together, especially by this time tomorrow. So Fred has the chance to be impactful. So we're going to start to break it down. Here you go. You know, this is what it looks like right now. It's just an open wave. There's just nothing going on except thunderstorms out in the ocean pretty much. So we're going to run through the updates, and then we're going to talk about what could happen with Fred and the impact. So right now, the cone has shifted big time away from Florida. And in fact, this thing may make landfall in coastal areas in Mississippi, but it's going to be interesting what happens. This has the chance to be a very isolated but impactful event, not a full-fledged hurricane, but it does have an outside chance to make it to hurricane status, an outside chance. But right now, it's forecast to be just a weak to moderate tropical storm at landfall, anywhere between 2 p.m. Monday and probably just sometime Monday evening, I would think. So if you're kind of in the southern half of Alabama, maybe parts of the southeastern part of Mississippi, watch out Monday evening. That's going to be your time frame to watch it. Definitely watch out for areas of the western panhandle of Florida, especially whoever is sitting on the western edge of wherever it makes landfall. That could be the most impactful area because it's going to be getting sheared from the southwest big time. So basically, the western areas and the southwestern parts of the storm is not going to be very impactful, right? So this is definitely going to be a right heavy favored storm. All the action is going to be on the right side, just like Elsa. Kind of similar situation. There's going to be, it's just a certain part of the storm is going to be impacted, and the impacts of that part of the storm is just not going to be as severe. So here it is. This is right around where the storm is centered, and this is kind of a guesstimate. When they're very unorganized like this, it's really hard to figure out where the actual low pressure is. But it's definitely north of Cuba now and well off the southwest coast of Florida. Looking forward here, most guidance now, I'll say about 90% of guidance, has this still becoming a tropical storm. So Fred's going to come back from the dead here. I really think it is. And moving forward here, all the guidance here, all the hurricane guidance models here, have it making landfall. A lot of it don't even have it making landfall in Florida anymore. So it's going to be interesting watching what goes on with this. Now, you look at this, you look at a more broader view of the Gulf of Mexico, and really what's going on here is you just have some blow up and convection. But like I said, it literally looks like an open wave, like something you would see coming off North Africa. This is going to continue to inch kind of northwest, if you will, and it's going to kind of just come up this area and then hit areas of Alabama and Mississippi. But all the action as the center, so if the center is going here, right in here, all the action is going to be on this side. So areas of the western panhandle of Florida is probably going to be heavily impacted with several inches of rain and some pretty gusty winds. So hunker down if you're in that area, especially for Monday evening into Monday night for sure. This is the big time thing you want to worry about here a little bit, is how warm the Gulf of Mexico is. It's in the mid to upper 80s in this area, right where it's going to go over. So if you go back and look at this, all the water right in here is very warm. You can't trust the Gulf of Mexico as you're entering the heart of hurricane season. You really can't. Sometimes it can just do some wild things, just like we saw last year with hurricane season, with the rapid intensification that went on with some of these storms like Hurricane Laura, Sally, and just a lot of storms that for some reason I can't get them to come to my head right now. But there was some crazy rapid intensification scenarios, and it's because the Gulf of Mexico was just so warm. And so we have to watch out for that. But that's why we cannot totally knock out the possibility of a Category 1 hurricane at landfall somewhere in Alabama and western Florida. We cannot. It's just something we cannot do right now. But, a closer up look here. Let me get rid of this. And check it out here. This is where our system is. This is where Fred is. Moving forward, we're bumping up this in time. And it kind of does a weird jump there, but disregard that. But as we're getting into overnight tomorrow, into the wee hours of the morning, you have, probably a tropical depression, low-end tropical storm strengthening. And check it out. It drops at sub 1,000 millibar storm here. And it's hard to believe if that's going to happen. If that's the case, it'll probably be a pretty strong tropical storm if that occurs just off the coast of Alabama and the panhandle of Florida Monday morning, and you're having some nasty weather already moving in for the first part of your week. And as you can tell, this does a good job of showing you this is the center of the storm. But check out how all the reds, the yellows, the heavier action is on the right side of the storm, on the eastern side of the storm. So that's why I keep saying, if you're on the western panhandle of Florida, you're going to get a lot of tropical moisture, and you're probably going to get those nasty squally weather where, and there's probably going to be a low-end tornado threat too, because you're on that quadrant that is favorable for tornadic activity and tropical cyclones. So it's something you have to watch out. People have not been talking about Fred much, but it's going to be a nice little tropical storm that affects the panhandle of Florida if the model guidance comes to light here, which I really think it is. There's, over the last several days, even with the dissipation of Fred, the model guidance has not went away at all, with showing Fred intensifying back into a tropical storm. So that's why, it's hard to not believe it's not going to happen. I really think it is. There's going to be a good period, good 24 to 36 hours over the eastern Gulf of Mexico where it has a chance to strengthen. You look at the latest Euro too, it shows kind of the same thing. It shows the center of the storm right here, but as you can tell, all the action's on the right side of the storm. So that pushes into the Gulf of Mexico and into the western areas of the panhandle of Florida. And you get a nice push. This is showing around Tuesday morning. So I think the Euro is a little bit later. So the Euro brings it more so in well overnight Monday into Tuesday morning as nasty weather begins to move in to the panhandle of Florida and then southern areas of Alabama as it starts moving in. And then a good flex of tropical moisture starts to move even deeper into Alabama. Then in areas like Atlanta, you have to watch out. So one thing the storm is going to be dealing with is shear. There's a upper trough right up here that's just dissipating and moving out, and there's some shear being kind of caused by that. Now, moving forward here, it's being steered by some high pressure right out here that's kind of providing a flow from the south, which is kind of pushing this storm north, if you will. So this is moving forward here, and it's dealing with a shear. That the brighter colors right here that you're seeing, that is some moderate to strong shear, and that's kind of what's preventing this from exploding in the eastern Gulf of Mexico. So that's why, I don't really think this is going to explode into some kind of major hurricane all of a sudden in the eastern Gulf of Mexico. We've seen that happen, but that's under conditions that are a lot more favorable for rapid development, something we call IR or RI, which stands for rapid development. So right now, the effects of the chances of tropical storm force winds is just off the coast of Alabama, Mississippi, and Florida. And you'd have a 50 to 60% chance, but then it moves down to 40 to 50% chance. So if you're down there near Mobile, Alabama, I think that's an area to watch out for. And then just over the border into Alabama, Florida border, you need to watch out. Around that area, I think it's going to get very active for sure. And you're looking ahead here as far as rainfall. Most of the rainfall is going to fall, I really think, in the western panhandle of Florida, where all the action is, where all the moisture is, where all the nastier weather is. You're going to get 6 to 10, potentially 6 to 10 inches of rain. Some isolated areas might get more, but I think that'd be a little bit extreme. But even the rain moving inland, it's going to be a lot of rain moving. You look at a more broader picture, this goes all the way out until about overnight Tuesday. And you notice the moisture that moves in. This area is in whites and kind of that purplish color, if you will, is 6 to 7, 8 inches of rain potentially in the western panhandle of Florida. So Tallahassee, watch out. A lot of rain from this, a lot of rain. Even though the center may be far away from you, well west, all the action is going to be on the east side of the storm in this situation. So I think right now the biggest worry is rainfall, flooding rains, but there's going to be a low-end tornado threat, especially the panhandle of Florida, and even into Alabama, and I think southwestern areas of Georgia for sure. Low-end tornado threat. And there's going to be some gusty winds. There's going to be power outages. You even go back and look at tropical storm, what was it, Claudette, I believe? That produced some nasty tornadoes in areas of Alabama, Georgia, and I believe the panhandle of Florida, and some nasty squally weather. So you can't just forget about Fred. Fred is still there. Fred has a chance to develop. So we're going to switch gears to Grace. What is going on with Grace? Grace, let me tell you, Grace is going to be a big-time learning thing for me. I'm learning a lot from guys who are a lot smarter, a decently lot smarter than I am. So I'm taking in knowledge from them and then trying to share it with you guys and what I'm interpreting and trying to figure out to you guys. But right now, recon missions flown into Grace. This is Grace. Grace, you look at Tropical Storm Grace right here and you say, hey, that looks like a pretty decent storm. It's got two huge areas of convection blowing up here. It's entering what we call a DMIN, which is diurnal minimum, which is basically a time period that's not favorable for tropical development and basically strengthening of tropical cyclones. That normally occurs around sunrise, which is called DMAX, diurnal maximum, which kind of Grace did a great job this morning taking advantage of for sure. It's moving through the Lesser Antilles right now, providing some nasty weather for Barbados. I think the nastier weather in Barbados is starting to move through, but it's going to get close to Puerto Rico. We're going to figure out a lot about the storm overnight into the morning hours. Puerto Rico, I think, will be a big milestone for the storm as far as what it does. There's a lot of questions with this storm. Right now, it's dealing with a little bit of shear, a little bit of dry air, and it's a lot weaker than it looks. There's under the hood here, it's probably not as strong as what it looks. It isn't. Recon flew into this storm, and they really couldn't even find a low-level circulation. That might change here in the coming hours. It might change by the time some of you watch this video. But right now, it's not doing that great. Not as good as I don't think it was doing this morning, but then that was before recon missions flew into it. So right now, for the 5 p.m. update, and this might be different here in about 10 or 15 minutes when the new update comes in, right now it's a 45-mile-per-hour storm. I don't think it's going to get downgraded at all. It's moving pretty quick at 26 miles per hour. Tropical storm warnings up for the northern Lesser Antilles and areas of Puerto Rico, and tropical storm watches are up again. Deja vu, right, for areas of the western areas of Hispaniola. Let me slow down a little bit. Also, I want to pray for areas in Haiti. You guys got hit by a devastating earthquake today. I meant to mention that in the beginning of the video. Definitely praying for you guys. I think there's a few hundred people who died today. And this isn't going to help the situation out as far as the cleanup at all. I feel like the hurricane happened in this area right here in Haiti. So thoughts and prayers for sure go out to them. It seems like they've gotten hit by a couple in the last couple decades. But this is the cone of uncertainty. it has it maintaining a tropical storm status all the way through late next week, 2 p.m. Thursday. Notice it shifted south. That's the big question with this, is we don't know if it's going to go north or south. But a weaker storm, weaker trends today after basically this thing didn't really strengthen the way it was looking like it was going to strengthen. So my thoughts are a weaker storm is allowing it to model guidance on this to shift a little bit more south. That's what it's looking like. A stronger storm would tug the storm a little bit north initially in the short term, and I feel like this thing will be rerouting a little bit more north. I feel like a stronger storm can ride against that southwest base of the ridge of high pressure a little bit more. A stronger storm can also, which I'm about to show you here in a second, hold its own and create its own environment against an area of strong shear that's going to encounter, regardless if it goes more of the southern route or due west or more of a northwest route. So let's quit talking like crazy on that graphic and check it out. This is the latest 18Z model intensity guidance. Shows all the hurricane models and shows other models also. So a lot of models have this all the way through midweek, maintaining tropical storm status. But you notice the ones that shoot up. These are the ones that get this thing into the Gulf of Mexico as still a storm that's alive, if you will. If it gets into the Gulf of Mexico, then and it's still intact, even if it gets shredded by the islands, there is nothing that stops this from becoming a hurricane. Hurricane Grace. There really isn't, guys. You know, it looks like some ventilation will occur, something called a ULAC, which is basically something that allows a storm to breathe more. There's no shear, and it causes ventilation, which allows for convective explosions, updrafts to form, and basically it could promote a rapid intensification scenario. So we have to watch to see if this thing gets into the Gulf of Mexico. Looking at this, all the model guidance, shoot this into the Gulf of Mexico. I'm going to have to speed this video up a little bit because I'm actually about to run out a little bit of time and run out of space for this video to hit in my files here. But you look at the latest GFS, this thing kind of takes the more southern route, gets shredded by Hispaniola as we're getting into Tuesday morning, maintains just an area of tropical moisture as we're getting into midway next week, gets into the Gulf, and it doesn't really do much. It kind of finally gets it into the southern areas of the Gulf of Mexico, but it never really gets going again. Now, you look at the GFS from 12Z, the one prior than the one that just came out, it did shift south, but it has a stronger storm, a storm really intensifying over the next 6 to 12 hours, which is still favorable. So it will still be in a favorable conditions to still strengthen over the next 6 to 12 hours, by the way, before it starts to interact with Puerto Rico and gets going. And it takes more of a northern route because it has it more stronger in the short term, which allows it to take the more northern route, which is really looking like to be the case here. And then it has ramming into the Florida Keys is probably a Category 1 hurricane, and then getting into the Gulf of Mexico in the bathtub and strengthening into a major hurricane and plowing into southern coastal areas of Texas as we get into about 8 to 9 days out from now. That's a doomsday scenario, but there's a possible scenario there because the Gulf of Mexico is just waiting for something to get in there so it can work with it. I'm telling you. So we look at this. This is a good thing to look at. It's a cyclonic PV here. It takes the storm, the latest storm, and check it out. This is the Tut interaction, an upper trough, basically providing a lot of shear. Regardless, this storm is going to interact with this right here. And you know, you look at this. This is this shows kind of the streamlines right here in the wind direction. It shows that dip right here. That is the upper troughing occurring and allowing for some pretty intense shear to happen, which we'll look right here at this graphic. And check this out. Moving forward, this little dip right here provides some shear and blasts shear out the west here and really starts affecting the storm regardless if it takes the southern route. It's still going to be affected by shear. And it's going to be interacting with Hispaniola potentially again. Could get shredded just like Fred did. So it's going to be very, very interesting because this storm has a difficult path to take too. But what the difference here is it looks like the ridge of high pressure up top is kind of a little bit on top of the storm, a little bit more. And the flow, I think, may push this deep into the Gulf of Mexico instead of kind of flirt around with it with Fred, if you will. So regardless, there's going to be shear dealing with the storm. There's going to be land interaction. So we'll have to figure out what's going to happen. Check it out. GEFS ensembles definitely all shift well south. And in fact, some of them haven't missing Hispaniola to the south. Now, look at these little clusters right here. Check out the ones that make it into the Gulf of Mexico. You notice all of a sudden you get some strong members like a 984 low, and basically any of them that get in the Gulf of Mexico have a chance to develop. They really do. So that's all I got, guys. It's a 20-minute video. It's a lot to talk about. I'm going to continue to have this broken down for you guys over the next couple of days. Thank you all for the amazing support. That's all I got. Love you all. Really appreciate you all, and have a blessed evening.